So I'm also part of or I was part of the authoring team for ISO 10010 that was released in 2022. And that's a guidance document that ISO generated around understanding, evaluating, improving organizational quality culture. So that's a key document clearly for you to also have a look at. And it's something that I built into this process, although we started this journey before the ISO document was written by myself and other members of the team. So I'm going to take you through our journey of quality culture, because as already been set out by Howard in terms of why we need it, and from Claire what the culture and behaviours are. The one question you have to ask yourselves in an organization, well, what is your culture? How are you measuring your culture? How do you know what it is? Because we just bandy the word culture around. This is our safety culture. This is our quality culture. This is the way. So what is it? So we set out about looking at this back in, I suppose back in 2018, when we did our very first annual management review. What we said was we got some indicators of poor culture on the project. And how did we know that? Well, we were looking at our non-conformances, and you can differentiate your non-conformances into whether or not they were intentional in nature, whether they were conscious acts or non-conscious acts. And what I mean by that is if you're going to put a picture up on a wall and you're hammering a nail into the wall and you hit your thumb with the hammer, you don't intend to do that. That's an unconscious act. Well, what we were seeing in the project was that there were items within the inspection and test plan, such as the hold points and witnessing activities, that were being bypassed to get the schedule going. And so we saw that as poor quality culture. And we decided that we needed to put something in place, because at that time in 2018, the project was quite small. And we're talking about 200 people on the project, and we were just finishing the civil construction phase, but we were about to go into all the mechanical and electrical installation of process plants and equipment. And in three years' time, the project would have up to 700 people on the project, over 40 plus suppliers up and down the UK that are all providing equipment. So if we can't get the culture started right now, it would be even worse situation later on. So we decided to utilize the nuclear professionalism characteristics as part of our quality culture upgrade. And they're focused around leadership, compliance, competency, communication, personal values and ethics, and fall very nicely into what Howard has said around the WANO traits for nuclear safety, as you can see in the bottom of the slide. So we devised a survey to measure people's perceptions of quality on the project. From that, we then obtained agreement from the executives and unions to help pull all of that together. So we ran the survey in Mensa. It gave us a baseline score, and we then developed improvement activities from that. And we then took it further into, well, we want to do it not just on one major project, we want to do it across all major projects. So after about 3 years, we then said, right, well, we want to do this across all of the site. And so we created our quality culture survey, as you see in the picture here, that we would then apply across all of the site. Now, nobody knew when they filled out the various questions that they're broken down into the nuclear professionalism characteristics. They were just answering the questions on the score 1 to 5. But we also asked them to share, what one thing would help your day-to-day work or hinder or help improve various things. So not only would the data give us some feedback in terms of metrics that we could look at, we would also get some feedback in terms of improvement objectives that we could go and look at. So we did the first AWE survey in 2022. And this was the results that we got back. We also looked at 3 other elements other than the nuclear professionalism. So we looked at requirements, we looked at total quality management, and we looked at quality 4.0. Now, the questions again we didn't label it as quality 4.0 because many people on the site wouldn't know what that was. We just talked about how we use information and digital information and data to make the various decisions and manage the business. So this was our score. You can see that 2.8 for leadership, not particularly good. Quality 4.0, 2.7. Scores are at 5, by the way. But it gave us our baseline. So this was our baseline for us then to generate the various scores, the various improvement plans that we needed to put in place. We were able to break the data down by each of the individual questions. So what was driving that overall score for leadership? So we could see the various scores on there that were doing that. So question 2, leaders are frequently seen touring the workplace and asking about quality, only got 2.4. So that was what was driving some of the scoring overall. And when we started to dig in and understand, well, why is that? Why are people giving that particular score? Was it that the leaders are not touring and speaking to people? Because they are, and we had evidence that they were going around and speaking to people. But when they were talking about housekeeping, they were talking about safety issues, they were talking about the things that they were working on, but they weren't asking them quality questions because they didn't have the confidence or knowledge or background to be able to hold a conversation around quality. So that was one area where we needed to put some actions in place to be able to drive and improve that. Similarly, for compliance, you could see some of the scores, and again, that helped us to generate the improvement plans and focus areas that we needed to do. We had data split around which of the various groups that were done it. We could see the split across the functions and the operational areas. Again, this allowed us to see who had participated in the survey because it was anonymous, but we wanted to see which groups have performed so we can look at the various elements of it. We had it broken down by supervisors, management, worker specialists, scientists within our areas, and you could see the respective scorings on there and how leadership and quality 4.0 stood out, but also communications was an area where we needed to really focus on, but also we needed to understand why the respective groups, such as the technical scientists and engineering groups, were scoring leadership at 2.7. So it allowed you to cut the data in many different ways to understand what is the real problems that we were experiencing across our business with the scoring that was coming out. We're also, because of the fact that we're a site that uses contractors and delivery partners and other suppliers, be able to see the scoring from them as well. And you see that our contractors and delivery partners were much more positive around the quality culture than we were as an organization. These are all of our projects. Obviously I can't put the names on there, so that's why they're down as project 1 to 18, but we had it broken down by the respective projects, and again, with the number of people who actually did it, we could actually highlight and go into those areas. So every single one of those 18 projects had their own individual bespoke improvement plan that we tracked through to completion. So we reran the survey again in October. Well, sorry, in September. The results came out in October to see if the improvement activities that we'd done had made any difference. Because once you establish the baseline, it now gives you the ability to be able to see if you've improved. Very simple. So as you can see, we improved across virtually all of the elements by 0.1 or 0.2, which is very pleasing. What's not so pleasing was the number of people who participated in the survey came down, but unfortunately at the time we were doing this survey, it was on the back of 3 other surveys that had been done in the employee survey and the security survey, but You know, data is data, and we still had enough people who carried out the survey, and this is the results that they gave us. Now, whilst these have gone up from, for compliance 3.5 to 3.7, or whether it's requirements have gone up to 3.4, it's still not where we want to be. We want to be around 4 or above 4. So there's still a lot of work to do. There's still some improvement activities that are now being performed. This data is now being shared out again across all of the various teams so that they can delve deeply into their respective data and put their own bespoke improvement plans in place, ready for us to rerun it again in 2024. We've now made this business as usual, so we put it into our annual management review process so that it becomes part of that. So in terms of what the 2023 survey was telling me is, well, it was building on the baseline, and it's actually generated and shown that we've made some improvements. We've still got leadership communications and quality 4.0 as an area for us to focus on. The three main questions that are driving the low leadership score. Leaders frequently seen touring the workplace. We've still got some work to do in that area. Leaders talking about quality performance daily, and also leaders, putting quality on an equal platform as cost, schedule, and possibly even safety as well. So the walk and the talk. So we got all of these things that we still need to work on. But in terms of what the overall process has done for us is, as we've shown over the time where we've taken it from just a project onto a suite of projects onto the overall site, it has enabled us to say, well, what is your quality culture? And we're able to say now that this is our quality culture. We're able to say what it means. We're able to say that these are the areas that we need to focus on, and these are the areas that are working well. We're able to tell which technical center, which function, which project has good culture in their area. So what are they doing that other projects aren't doing? What can we learn from them that can be applied elsewhere? Because we've done the survey the second time based on the baseline, we can show that we have made genuine improvement. We've actually started to put this as business as usual process, so it becomes continuous improvements as part of the overall arrangements that we have in place. But the last comment, as it says, cultures don't change overnight, and we're still on several stepping stones to having the culture that we believe we need, which is to get to 4s in all of those elements within our processes and procedures and behaviors associated with our nuclear safety and our nuclear professionalism. And that was it.